Hello, Professor Reiner. This is going to be my final project submission where I will be interviewing multiple athletes from either D3, so here at Randolph-Macon, or D1 institutions. By initially informing the individuals of my research conducted, I will then ask each to answer a series of questions. Each question will pertain to their personal experience of being a college athlete and how each focuses on maintaining their mental health. So my first interview for this podcast is going to be with a close friend of mine. His name is Bobby Dudek, and he plays golf at Radford University.
I'm ready.
All right. Okay. So hello, Bobby. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Can you just give us a quick introduction as to where you go to school, what grade you are, what sports team you're on?
Okay, I'm a senior at Radford University, and I'm on the golf team.
Amazing. Okay, so if you're okay with it, I'm just going to ask you a couple questions relating to how you promote your mental health and well-being while being a college athlete.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. So, are there any resources that your institution or team in particular have in place to promote the well-being of student athletes?
Yeah, we have a whole bunch of people dedicated to that. I don't know exactly how many. We get emails from our medical staff who sets that up. We have wellness meetings like twice a week. I've never been to one, but it's offered every week that we're here at school. So.
Awesome. Okay. And kind of just going off of that, for you in particular, do you have any specific routines or practices that you found helpful towards benefiting your mental health as a student athlete?
I wouldn't say necessarily. I like to do, as an athlete, I like to try and make my schedule the same every day so that I know what I'm doing. And the next day I can kind of get a little idea of what I'm doing. So I don't think there's anything in particular that I think about, okay, this is for my mental health, I want to do this and this, but I just try to have the same schedule every day so that I know kind of my game plan of what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
And that helps.
Gotcha. I'd say on a grand scale, looking at your team and the other athletic departments and teams at Radford, if you were to view your teammates and your team in general, looking at their mental health and well-being, how would that be perceived to you as an outsider?
You asked what would I say the current mental health of my team
would
be? Question. I'd say it's very good because we're a golf team. It's more our training is more laid back, so I think we do a lot more team bonding outside of golf, because even in golf, golf takes forever, so we're all, we're spending a ton of time together already, but we're not always, doing hard workouts where baseball and football teams would. So I think if anything, golf teams have a higher mental health. If you looked at data on that, I don't know if there is any, but I'm sure that our team is, we get along with each other much better than most other teams do.
Awesome. And to just kind of wrap things up, are there any changes you would like to see from your institution or team specifically in order to promote the well-being of athletes?
I would say no, because Radford does a lot, especially lately since COVID, to help us with that. Like I said, we get an email from our medical director once a week saying, here are the 2 times this week if you want to go talk to someone. So it's always offered, and I think that's cool. So I think they do a great job.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Bobby. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
So now that I've gotten some insight as to what it's like to be a college athlete on a larger campus and what these individuals may do to promote their mental health and well-being, I thought it would be beneficial to gain some insight as to what it's like to be an athlete and full-time college student on a more smaller scale campus like Randolph-Macon. So I will be continuing with my interviews with Drew Ramos, who is a baseball player here at Randolph-Macon, and one of my close friends, Addie Walters, who goes to Lynchburg. Okay. So for my second participant, I have with me Drew Ramos. Drew, can you introduce yourself real fast?
My name is Drew Ramos. I'm from Williamsburg, Virginia. I got Randolph-Macon currently. I'm a senior on the men's baseball team.
Okay, awesome. So for this project, I'll be focusing on suicide rates among college athletes. So within the 21st century, there has been an increasingly concerning matter as rates continue to rise each year. While conducting some of my initial research for this project, I read a series of academic journals, dissertations, and reviews pertaining to the mental health of collegiate athletes. Many perceive athletes as almost pillars of health and wellness. I would say that many athletes would consider mental health to be a sign of weakness. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I would agree. In the past, throughout college sports, even through high school, I've seen athletes take more of a toll from sports, almost rather more than academics. Obviously, between Division One, Division Two, Division Three, and NAIA, you see the amount of stress levels differ, especially when it comes to money, especially with the new incorporation of NIL deals, which has raised the stress for some Division One athletes. But with your statement, I definitely agree that mental health and the level of athletes has definitely rose.
Thank you, Drew. So continuing on with my research, statistic that really stood out to me was college athletes and suicide rates among them represents the fourth leading cause of death, trailing accidents, sudden cardiac deaths, and homicide. Does that stand out to you? Does that have any significant impact to you in any type of way?
I think it's just interesting that the three leaders before that was all like physical or anything, and with suicide, the main thing you see with them is like more mental. So definitely that's a very eye opener, and I think with athletes also with suicide, some of it also doesn't pertain just to sports, but also like kind of like home life or extra circumstances that some people can't control. So definitely it's also an underlying cause also when it comes to suicides between athletes or non-athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. So this all being said, suicide continues to remain the third leading cause of death among adolescents and young adults in today's age. In college athletes, suicide represents the fourth leading cause of death. So to continue on with this interview, I will proceed with asking you a short series of questions pertaining to how you maintain your mental health as a college athlete. Is this okay with you?
Works for me.
Okay. So the first question is, are there any resources that your institution or team have in place to promote the well-being of student athletes?
I think it all comes with coaching staff. Your coaches are always going to be your go-to person you can talk to through home life, any stressful things that are happening here. And then also at the Randolph-Macon, we have our wellness advisors, but also our counseling services, which has provided, not myself, but some of my fellow teammates resources when it comes to their mental health and their well-being.
Okay, awesome. Are there any specific routines or practices you have found helpful towards benefiting your mental health as a student athlete?
I think main thing with me is just sleep and eating healthy for the most part. I think if you wake up every morning with a decent amount of sleep and you're eating the right food, then if your body feels good, then it's one step closer to helping your mind kind of heal and take a little break. So that's kind of the main thing, just being an athlete, is sticking into like a routine between eating, classes, practice, and just getting into a good sleep routine.
Yeah, those are awesome. Next question is, how would you say the mental health and well-being of your team would be perceived?
I think currently it's very high. In the past, through our sports teams, we've had some circumstances where our mental well-being has not been the best through, like this project talking about suicide, when we had a teammate commit suicide last year. So definitely, I want to say that event almost kind of brought us closer because we kind of more acknowledge that there's a stigma around suicide in athletes, and we've been able to recognize that everyone's well-being is the most important. Like our coaches always say, no stat or record will represent how you are as a teammate, and I think we've kind of all represented that statement where it doesn't care if you're the best guy on the team, the worst guy on the team, is that if you're just there for everybody, then it kind of makes everyone feel like they're contributing to the team, which increases their mental well-being.
Thank you for sharing that. I think stigmatism around mental health is definitely one of the big factors that plays into all of this for sure. But finally, the last question is, you personally, are there any changes that you would like to see from your institution or team in order to promote the well-being of athletes?
I think from the team perspective or from the school, just kind of a better support system. I think some individuals coming into school, especially freshmen, have the worst stress management sometimes. I think there being a good support system coming in, definitely for me individually, being an athlete, I have a great support system through my family, my girlfriend. Definitely that helps a lot. So I know some people may not have those resources, but even just like a fellow teammate that's like an upperclassman, more family connection is definitely a good way to improve their mental health as an athlete.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Drew. I appreciate you being willing to be a part of my research, and feel like talking to you has definitely allowed me to have a better understanding of what it's like to be in the shoes of a college athlete. So thank you so much. I appreciate your feedback.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so hello, Addie. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Do you mind telling us just real fast, like where you go to school, what year you are, what team you're on real fast?
Yes. Okay, so I'm a senior at the University of Lynchburg, and I'm on the softball team, and my major is health and physical education.
Amazing. Okay. So over the past couple weeks, I've been conducting a bunch of research, looking at a bunch of statistics, just kind of going over, bunch of different statistical research as to how college athletes are doing in the 21st century. So I just wanted to get your feedback on how you promote your mental health and well-being as a full-time college athlete and student. So first question for you, are there any resources that your institution or team have in place to promote the well-being of student athletes?
So we have different leaders on our team, on the softball team, and I'm actually one of the mental toughness leaders on the softball team, so people come to me or if they have like any mental toughness. Then we have, obviously you can talk to any of the upperclassmen or the captains on our team, and they can help you. Or we have the council center on campus that also you can talk to, which is very private and they don't share anything.
Okay, that's awesome. So kind of just going off of that, are there any specific routines or practices you have found helpful towards benefiting your personal mental health as a student athlete?
Yes, so I am in 3 different Bible studies, which helps my mental stability a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Bible study with the team that's just optional. Whoever wants to do it can do it. I have one that's just all female with this group that's called Campus Outreach on campus, and then I have one that's all campus is involved throughout Campus Outreach. So I mainly focus on that, and I lean that way to help me with mental stuff, and I also have my family and stuff that can help me through it.
That's awesome. So just moving on, just kind of looking at a grand scale. So for your team, and I would just say overall for all the athletic teams at your school, how would you say your teammates and your team, their mental health and well-being would be perceived to you or an outsider?
I would say good for the most part. I think there are some times throughout the semester, depending on what time it is, in midterms, or if it's crunch time during work and stuff, that you can kind of tell that their mental health is going down, and then you can help them up, pick them up and whatnot. But I would say for the most part, we communicate with each other about questions we have or help with that we need and all this stuff. So I would say good.
Yeah, awesome. And then just finally, to kind of wrap things up, are there any changes you would like to see from your institution or your team specifically in order to promote the well-being of student athletes?
Yes, so I know last year there was, throughout our athletic training program, like our AT staff, they had like this anonymous person that you can go talk to for your mental health if you were going through like an injury and your comeback didn't go to the plan that you wanted it to go, and you could go talk to them and they could help you through it and nobody would know, and they set up times. That happened last year. This year I didn't hear much about that, so I guess hearing more about that would be nice, because I know a lot of people who, like, once they get injured or like an ACL tear, it's like hard to get through that, especially physically, especially mentally. Like, coming back from that is really hard, so having somebody to talk to is nice, especially an AT person that they just know what you're going through.
Yeah, of course. Well, I really appreciate you taking a couple minutes of your day, Addie. Your feedback definitely, allows me to open my eyes a little bit better and see what it's like to be a college athlete. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. So this is going to be the conclusion of all my interviews. I hope that gave you a little bit of an insight of what it may be like to be a college athlete as of today. Obviously, everything that is talked about is definitely not a light subject. It is definitely something that is very heavy as of today's time. But just the fact that suicide is seen to be the leading cause of death among college students, I figured and thought that this would be something really important to do my research on throughout the semester, and really appreciated getting insight from some individuals really close to me. Just hearing their experiences and different implementations that their universities have in place for each one of them, ranging from medical professionals to different groups, support groups on their campuses. So whether it be D1 institutions to smaller D3 schools, it's really impactful to see that each athlete is supported in their own way.